What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Let's Talk. And today I have a special guest with me, Rob from RO2R Review. How you doing, man?
Dude, I am doing good. Stoked to do the Metroid podcast. We were just talking. Jay and I haven't been able to do anything or chat in way too long. So
Yes.
I'm stoked to do Metroid with you, man.
Yes, and what we're talking about is Metroid Prime 4. Now, I'm going to say allegedly here because I haven't heard from Nintendo yet. But allegedly, Bandai Namco is working on Metroid Prime 4. Now, if you don't know, we got a very good Photoshop at E3 last year.
Top tier Photoshop skills from Nintendo, man.
Yeah, for Metroid Prime 4, because all we got was a logo. That's pretty much it. And what I wanted to do is talk about, I had 3 questions that we want to look at. And the first question is, what would a Metroid fan like to see from a gameplay perspective for this new iteration? Now, a lot of people like the first-person aspect of the Metroid Prime series, and that's okay. We're not going to hate on that. But I do have a couple of things I would like to add to that, because me personally, there's 2 types of games I'm currently kind of burnt out on. That's FPSs and zombie games. I'm just kind of burnt out on them a little bit.
There's a lot of both out there.
Yeah, and that's why to me you have to make something unique. So for me personally, from a gameplay perspective, what I would like to see them try to do in Metroid Prime 4, the big thing I would like to see them try to do, space missions where we get to fight in the gunship. I mean, look, it's a space game. We're in space. We know the space pirates have tech. We know she has a badass gunship. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to do a couple of missions like that, because and this, y'all know by now, I am a huge Zelda nerd. So after playing Breath of the Wild, I kind of want I'm kind of fiending for like a semi-open world Metroid game.
Okay, so you are looking for like a sandbox kind of thing. You think that could work? Yeah.
If they do it like they did, if they kind of try to do it like they did Breath of the Wild, if they can do that.
I mean, they knocked it out of the park with Breath of the Wild, so it does kind of become exciting to think about like a game where you play as Samus, but you could be in a world that big, right?
Yeah.
That'd be incredible.
And hopefully this time she doesn't blow up the planet. But
yeah, stop doing that, Samus.
Yeah.
Blowing up everywhere she goes.
Yeah. So what would you like to see from a gameplay perspective? Well,
I mean, a lot of things. And I do have to say, I like the space combat and the gunship combat idea you have. I've heard a couple people like throw that stuff out there before, and it does make sense to incorporate something like that. And, you and I are huge Metroid fans. So we remember when Prime 3 came out, and they did do the tiniest little bit of incorporation of the gunship into that game, right? Because you could like call it. Yeah, it was like a tease, right? Like you couldn't control it, but they kind of made it important to the gameplay. You could move it from area to area, and you could get it to lift certain objects and move them, pull them away, or you can get it to drop bombs and stuff. And so it was like, oh, okay, that's right. Samus has a ship. She should be able to use it. So I like the gunship idea. When I think about gameplay, dude, I don't know, man. I make so many Metroid videos, and people leave comments and suggestions on my own videos. And I think that something that's jumped out to me is like, at first people thought, oh, maybe Metroid Prime 4 like will be different than a first-person game. And I kind of feel like it's still going to mostly be a first-person game. It just has to. So I am expecting first-person. I think that they would be crazy to not try to do something with the gunship. Like your idea is it makes so much sense. They started to bring it into Prime 3. Why not give us like some missions you can do in Prime 4? And one of the things I think about, I'm curious what you think, dude, about this idea. I remember how Star Fox Adventures. Did you play Adventures on the GameCube?
Oh, yes. One of my favorite games on the Cube.
Dude, good. We have the best taste. Like, Jay and I agree on every weird game that people hate, and I freaking love that game.
Yeah.
So, I'm so glad to hear you say that. But But I'm reminded how in Adventures, the big thing was you would be on a planet, and then when you had to go to a different planet, if you remember, you would have that small little section where you'd get in the R-Wing, and you would it was 60 seconds, and you would shoot a couple bad guys and then land on the new planet. They could do something like that maybe for Prime 4, but make it a little bit more fleshed out.
Yeah, Meteor.
With more meat to it and stuff. Yeah, I totally agree. So that would be cool. The only other thing I could think of, and I talked about this on a video I made a week or so ago, was if there were some sections of the game that played in a 2D perspective, because I feel like the game almost has to rely on being first person, which some people might like, some people might not like. Like you said, you're kind of getting worn out on first person stuff, but I think they're going to have to do that. But I think it would be neat if you get to some puzzle sections where the camera would pan away from the inside of Samus's visor and then become a side view of her and a section where she had to traverse in 2D, kind of like what Samus Returns looked like. That was the comparison I made in my video. It was what if there were some puzzles that had to be played like Samus Returns would, but then when you were finished with it or you left that area, it would go back into first person. So those things get me really excited. I like your gunship idea, and I like the idea of some 2D parts to the gameplay.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. And now that I just thought about it, Super Mario Odyssey did something weird with the HD 8-bit parts.
Yes.
That would actually be not bad as well if they could actually find a way to make it make sense. Not because, look, Mario Brothers, you can do that because the world's crazy and everybody's high off mushrooms.
Yeah. Yep.
You could do that in Mario and people won't bat an eye. But Metroid, you'd have to make it make sense. But
do you mean if for the 2D sections maybe Samus went into 16-bit mode? Samus, is that what you're thinking?
16-bit mode.
Yeah, it would be cool, but you're right. How would they do that? How would they?
You would have to make it make sense. I mean, that's the only downside to doing so. That's why I hate Mario sometimes. He does some innovative crap that you can't.
He can just do whatever he wants, man.
Yeah, but it works for him because it's his game. He can do it like that.
It's true.
It can't work at everything else.
Nope. See, it's weird. The Metroid universe almost has more rules, right?
Yeah.
Because Mario, it's anything goes. Sometimes you're a bullet bill and sometimes you're a dinosaur. That's just what happens in Mario. And you can't get away with that in Metroid.
Yeah. They'd have to find a way to make it make sense. And even though I would love to see that, maybe they'll maybe one of these days they'll figure out a way to do that. But
well, what do you think about? I think that's why maybe the first thing that came to my head, it wasn't a Super Metroid, but it was Samus Returns.
Yeah,
because in Samus Returns, it's not 16-bit. It's she's a little 3D model, and the backgrounds are still in 3D polygons and stuff, right? Yeah. So maybe that would work better. I kind of
that would probably work better. Yeah. One of the things I did like about Samus Returns was the fact that they did a lot of stuff to upgrade the weapons that you didn't have on Super Metroid.
Yeah,
like the spread shot and all that. And I'm okay, little touches like that as well as some of the puzzle sections, because some of those puzzles were actually hard.
Oh, definitely. Some of the bosses, I'm terrible right now. I can't remember the name, but the one grinder thing that chased you through the Nintendo World Championships had a match in it. Oh my God, that thing, dude. I probably took me 7 times.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I'm not gonna lie, people. I did have to look that one up on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey man, we've all been there. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm man, because I got frustrated. I was like, this is some bull.
Yeah, it sucks.
This is straight up bull.
It was definitely hard. Well, you kind of bring up a good point with the weapons though, because depending on what they do with the weapons in Metroid Prime 4 and how you upgrade them and the different kinds of new weapons and abilities they add, that could totally change the gameplay itself, right?
Yeah, it could. And the one thing that I do like about the Metroid series is they do a good job of making each game, the weapons that you get, unique to that game. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually interested in what this is going to lead into my next question, what the story for this game is going to be, because I know y'all have heard me say this a million times. I killed Prime in 3, okay? Yeah. I killed the corruption. I stopped it.
Dude, you nailed it. Yes.
Yeah, I'm done. I better not see that chick in 4.
But apparently we're gonna, dude. That's the weird thing about this game, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna cry when y'all gonna see me cry literally while I'm playing the game when I'm like, this ain't fair.
Yeah.
Like, what do I have to do to kill this chick?
Dark Samus is gonna show up, and you're gonna be like, "What? How?"
Yeah.
Well, that's why, dude. I freaking talked about this so many times, like in my videos. I was like, okay, we'll get another Metroid. They're gonna make Metroid for the Switch. Don't worry. Then no, it's not gonna be Prime because Prime is dead and those games are done. It'll be Metroid XYZ something whatever. And sure enough, I was wrong. And it's Prime 4, so Prime has to be in the game, right? Like, how could it not be?
At some point, and I'm hoping that they do something where it's maybe like maybe it's another Rogue Aurora unit. I'm hoping that's it.
That would be cool. I would like that.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that because I'm sorry, man. When Nintendo does a dark anything, they are insanely hard.
I love that. Yeah, they are, dude. Yeah, Dark World and A Link to the Past, Dark Samus, Dark Link.
Yeah,
oh my God,
I don't want to fight no dark nothing.
Yeah, Dark Aether.
Yeah,
no more of that. No more of that. But but let me ask you: do you think because Prime or an Aurora unit or something has to be in this game, do you think they would also have Dark Samus, or would they do it without Dark Samus and not have it take that form?
Because one of the things that I did like about the Zelda series was Dark Link, and I think what they're gonna probably do is do like a nod.
Hard. Hard, man. Oh my God, he's so hard.
He hasn't shown up in the last couple of games, but they always do like a nod or an Easter egg to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably what they're gonna do, or maybe there's gonna be some lore about Dark Samus or something.
Okay.
Because honestly, she shouldn't be back because of you taking out the entirety of the corruption. Mm-hmm. So technically, she shouldn't be back. Technically,
it's tough. Like, yeah, you're right. Like, they could ride her back in kind of pretty easily. Like, they could kind of do whatever they want, and it's a weird game anyway. So like, they could make it happen, but I'm torn because it doesn't make sense for her to be in this game at all. But I really love Dark Samus. I'm not gonna lie, man. I've been wanting her in Smash Brothers forever. Yeah. And so even though the story would be totally broken if they brought her back, I actually would be excited because it's like, hey, I like Dark Samus. It just doesn't fit with what they did in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
So it gets weird.
The Prime series, it was building to that.
Yes, it was.
So in 3 was basically just 3 for the most part was a showdown.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it was. It was like, okay, good, evil showdown. This is it.
Yeah.
One of us gotta go.
It's funny though, because I still think that it definitely was the showdown, but I think the hardest showdown was actually Dark Samus at the end of Echoes. That's like the hardest thing I've ever done. The first time I did that.
Yeah,
actually, I'm sorry. The Emperor Ing was a harder boss, but once you go from Emperor Ing and you think you got it, and then Dark Samus shows up and is like so hard. Oh my! It's like she was harder than I think the Aurora unit was. Is what I'm saying.
Well, the funny thing about it was when you scanned Dark Samus the first time, and they pretty much told you there's no way to beat her.
Yeah. Basically, she's immortal. So
and you suck.
And you suck.
So yeah, I can understand that. Now, my second question. So, me and you tend to enjoy other M, where some other Metroid fans do not.
Yeah, man, I love that game. I don't care what anyone says. I love it. It's not perfect.
It's not perfect, but it's not bad either.
Nope.
So, but my thing is, what would you like to see from a story perspective? Because personally, I would like for them to delve more into the Chozo, because we don't really get to know that much about them, really.
Not in the games, no.
No, like you have to read the side stuff in the manga just to get like a okay idea of what they were like. Yeah. And you have to pay attention to the lore. And I know a lot of people don't pay attention to that because every time I ask them a question about it, they can't answer, and I have to answer it for them. But
you're like, I got this. Let me explain it to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would like to see something that depicts like the because the Chozo aren't dead in this universe. In this universe, they're not dead. They're not extinct or anything. You just don't see them.
Yeah.
You just see all the stuff they left behind.
Yeah, like all their artifacts and statues and their
Yeah.
lore and like their history they've left all over the place.
But they're not dead. They're not extinct.
Yeah.
So I would actually like a story where we actually get to either go back to the planet where they trained her at, or we get to see like her getting some help from one of the Chozo. I mean, we all know that Samus, for the most part, is a loner. But I think like it would be nice to see her like interacting with the Chozo, since they were the ones that took her in after that BS happened to her when she was 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would like to see from a story perspective, and then maybe we get to learn a little bit more about like her abilities outside of the various suit and all that. So
do you want it to be? I'm curious because I mean I kind of like what you're saying, and I'm kind of going to steal it when I answer it myself. But I'm curious, like for you, how do you think you want to see that story though? Because that's the big question. Like in the first 3 Prime games, it was all based on you deciding to read it by scanning.
Yeah.
In Other M, they took the story and for better or worse, they shove it in your face, and a lot of people hate it. You and I like it, but a lot of people hate it. And so when it comes to Prime 4. How do you want them to even deliver the story, I guess? Like, because that's what I can't figure out is how I want them to do that.
At this point, I want it to be a mix 50-50. And what I mean by that, because we can't get away from what Metroid is. And at its heart, Metroid is a series about exploration. So I figure like you can have those parts of the game where you have to scan and get your lore, but you have other parts where you do your full-on cutscenes where you can meet certain aliens and certain, other bounty hunters like they did in Corruption, because a lot of people forgot that Corruption does have voice acting in it.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that was a big deal, right? When that came out, there was people talking. It was Samus didn't talk, but everyone else did.
Everybody else did. So in that sense, I would like it to be like 50-50. Like when you get to a planet, maybe you think it's uninhabited until you get to a certain point, then it turns to a cutscene, then you find like instead of actually seeing a Chozo statue, you see some actual Chozo.
That would be so great. I mean, the only Chozo we've seen in any game are the freaking Chozo ghosts, which are a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Like you have to fight them, and they're really hard to fight until you get the which visor did you need?
X-ray visor.
The X-ray visor, yeah. You need it. That's when you could like see them. So yeah.
And it would just be nice just to see, because like I said, like the thing about the Chozo is unless you've like read the manga that they produced in Japan or some of the side works, you really don't know much about the Chozo at all.
You don't know. It's this weird mystery thing that's just you play Metroid Prime, you scan the heck out of everything, and you keep reading this Chozo thing, and you're like, Chozo. Like, I remember it wasn't until I played it for the second time back in the day that I kind of realized what was going on. They really make it mysterious in that game.
Yeah, and these guys are the pretty much the forebears of all this crazy technology that's going around. They trained her, but that's about it.
They trained her, they saved her, and raised her. Yeah. Well, and so here's where I'll kind of like sort of steal your answer is. Because I agree with you. Like, the Chozo have to play... Well, not have to. I would like for them to play kind of the biggest role in this game that they have yet. So like you said, I love the idea of actually seeing... I didn't even think about this. Like, seeing a Chozo, like you said, where maybe you, like, interact with or talk with one, or you find some to have help you or whatever. I think that would be great. I feel like... I think about the story that I want to see in a Metroid video game. And I kind of want to see Prime 4 deliver on a lot of what that backstory from that manga even is. Like, let's see Samus come face to face with that past of when her parents were killed, when she was introduced to the Chozo, when they raised her and showed her how to be the warrior she is. Everything that kind of formed her from the fire, as cheesy as that sounds, like I was born of fire. Like she's like a warrior who was raised by this crazy intelligent alien race. And like, I kind of would like to see her have to come to grips with that part of her past in this game. In a way, like, because other people hate the story, but Jay and I like the story. And what was cool about Other M is how they went into her past, like in the Federation, right? Like, she was a young cadet and she got involved with Malkovich and this other team. The rest of the name, I can't remember the names of everyone else except for Malkovich, but she got to know all those people and they were like her friends, and we got to see what it was like when she was young and impulsive and was a part of the Federation. Maybe Prime 4 could have her deal with that past from when she was a kid. Let's go before the Federation years. Let's go back to when she first met the Chozo, like in flashbacks or whatever. That's kind of something I think would be cool to see happen in a Metroid video game, is a lot of that story.
Yeah, because once again, we kind of have an idea of how the Chozo look, but we ain't never seen one.
It's true. Just statues. That's it.
That's it. You just see statues, and we know that Samus is special because they've tried to replicate that suit. The Space Pirates have tried, the Federation have tried, and nobody
can't do it. There's only one Samus. You gotta quit trying. You gotta give up. There's only one Samus.
And going by what the Space Pirates said when they tried to do the morph ball,
that does not go well.
Yeah.
There's that great, I can't remember how it's worded, but I'm sure you remember it. In the first game, there's a great little lore you can scan from one of the computers about when they talked about testing that and how it kept killing them.
Yeah, that's why they stopped.
So funny. Oh, yeah. That was so funny. Yeah,
because like nobody could, and they don't understand how she's able to do it. So it's one of those situations where you're like, okay, this is like part of the story, but it's like such a big part that nobody really talks about. It's like one of those situations where like, yeah, we knew this happened. We knew she that Ridley left her for dead, basically, and pretty much burned her whole planet to the ground. And the Chozo came and saved her, gave her the blood transfusion, and then just decided they were going to raise her. And we know from the moment she was like 5, because I think that happened when she was 5, until
really young,
until like she's like 22 is when she shows up at the Federation. We don't even know why. We don't even know.
Oh, I didn't even know she was that. I didn't remember her being even that old. I thought she was a little bit younger at that time. So she was 22.
Like, okay, she was like in her 20s, like 22. I think was the age that I got to go back and read it, but I think it was like 22 is the age that when she just shows up.
Yeah,
she's like the best, and they're like, "How is she this good?" Well,
she got that Chozo training, man.
Yeah, she ain't exactly normal anymore, dude.
Nope, not at all.
So that's the thing. So I would like for them to go over that blank space.
Yeah,
just so we have a better idea of the character herself. I mean, you don't have to spill all the secrets, but it would be nice to actually get to know a little bit more about her.
Like, you make a good point though. Like you kind of don't want to spill all the secrets actually, because like delving really deep into this stuff we're talking about, it would be awesome, but they could make the mistake of going too deep.
Yeah, too deep.
And then there's no more mysteries. That's a really good point, dude. I'm actually right there with you. That's a really good point.
Because the way I kind of envision how they could do it is just like let us know just the stuff that we need to from her like training with the Chozo and the relationships that she formed with the Chozo. Because once again, I'm still at a loss as to like, because if you play these games, you would swear the Chozo are extinct.
Yeah, that's true.
You would swear they are, but nothing in the game says they're extinct. They just are somewhere else.
Yeah, they're just gone. They've left relics of themselves all over the place.
But they still alive. They ain't dead because the Space Pirates know where they're at. They just don't want to deal with them.
Okay, so let me ask you this then, because you brought up Ridley. Do you think we should see Ridley yet again in this game?
Yeah, because Metroid Prime kind of ruined that for me. Because there's a piece of lore when you go after you do the fight with the Chozo Ghost, you find a piece of lore. I think it's behind the throne, where you find out that the Space Pirates have made like thousands of clones of Ridley.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. There is a lot of Ridley out there.
Like she killed the original Ridley. She killed him. Like the original Ridley's dead. He's been dead for years, but they made so many clones of him.
I mean, Ridley's been in every game. Every game. I mean,
like, they forgot about Prey.
Do what now?
They forgot about Kraid. They don't even care about Kraid.
That's really true, man. Like, it would be interesting to see Kraid come back. There's a couple of bosses they could bring back.
I'm like, come on, man. Why y'all doing Kraid like that?
Why you got to do Kraid dirty?
Yeah. But
that would actually be really awesome now that I think about it. Here's the thing, though. Like, imagine a Kraid battle in first person. That would be really difficult because he's huge.
Yeah,
it could be amazing. Well, but it's just crazy to think about.
Well, actually, because remember the Omega Pirate fight in Metroid Prime 1?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It'll probably be
I did it not that long ago, actually. I did it again recently.
Well, you are a glutton for punishment.
I am. I super am. Well, here's the problem, though. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but the one thing is, the last time I played it was on the Prime Trilogy collection, and they made that game and that fight just a smidge easier than the GameCube. Well, you probably know that. Like, the trilogy, the Wii trilogy game they made some of the stuff a little bit easier than the GameCube releases.
Oh, because in the GameCube release, not only are you using the GameCube controller, but he calls in for help.
He does.
And it's not easy to target the help.
No. Well, and in the Wii one, he does also call in help, but there's less of them, and they're less aggressive. Like 100%, I can confirm that. They're still there, but there's not as many space pirates because, he'll call in like the plasma pirates or the ice pirates, and you have to change your beam and do that whole thing. Yeah. And in the GameCube, he calls in like 5 or 6 at a time, and they're really aggressive. But in the Wii one, I think it's like 3 at a time he calls, and they're pretty dumb. So,
and the way they got the since you're doing it with the Wii remote and Chuck, it's so much easier.
It really is. Yeah, it is. Like, I mean, I have a nostalgic, fond memory of the GameCube controller, so I really I enjoy playing Metroid Prime 1 and 2 with the GameCube controller. Mm-hmm. But there's no doubt that the Wii controls are way better and a lot easier. Like, you're totally right. It's a lot easier.
Because doing that fight with the GameCube controller,
oh my god, dude! I will to the end of my days, I will remember the first time I did that in 2002 and how hard that was. It was so crazy.
Oh, and me with I'm a gamer. I'm all cocky. I don't need 150 missiles.
Oh, dude, you're crazy.
See?
You're insane. You're too hardcore, man.
Needless to say, I did some backtracking.
Yeah, you did. You need, honestly, the super missile is one of the best ways to beat him. So you need a stockpile of missiles.
Yeah, I had to go. I think when I finally went back to face him, because I think when I first tried to do it, I tried to do it with 130 missiles.
On the GameCube, you mean? Back in the day?
On the GameCube. After I came to my senses, I went back and I came back at him. I'm like, this time I came with 225 missiles strong.
Yeah, man. You took care of business, I'm sure.
Yeah, then we went to work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but my God. I'm all cocky. I'm a gamer. Can't nobody beat me.
I don't need no missiles.
I got humble quick.
Yeah, you did. Dude, he's so hard. It's a great fight, though. It actually, that's why the first game, because you do that, and that's not even the final boss. In most other games, that would be the last boss. Mm-mm. But it's not even the final boss of the game.
Like, you have to still fight at the end of the game.
No, you still have Ridley and Metroid Prime after that.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. It's so crazy.
So yeah, that's like one of the first fights that I actually thought, like, I would love to see this on a movie.
Oh yeah, dude.
I would have loved to see that.
We almost got it back in the day. We were close. John Woo. Jonathan Woo. We were so close, man. That would have been back in his heyday.
I mean, we would have had doves. We'd have had space doves, but I would have been down for it.
That's cool, man. I'd take some space doves, get some Tom Cruise hair whips up in there, man. I'm down with it.
So close. But okay, last question.
Last question.
Then we'll get out of here.
Cool.
So sometimes like Nintendo does break off and have like a separate line. It used to be like the 3DS line, the handheld line, and the main line. Mm-hmm. But my question to you is, would you like to see like the Metroid franchise break off into do like the 3D action event, the third person, I shouldn't say 3D, third person action adventure, and then have the other line be called the Prime series that is predominantly first person shooter?
So to keep Prime going as first person, and then also keep making other games that work in like third person, right? Is that your question?
Yeah, third person.
So, I mean, it's a good question. It's hard for me to say no because I'm just like a sucker for Metroid. And it's like, okay, well, if you give us a couple of different genres of Metroid games on like a regular rotation, which I think is what you're asking.
Yeah.
I mean, I super like that idea, especially because we went whatever 8-9 years
Without one.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't count Federation Force and even Samus Returns, even though that game is amazing, we went a long time without one. So a new rotation would be cool. I think I would say I would like that because I love the Prime formula. Prime 1 is my favorite video game of all time. But I also really like the idea of doing more third-person Metroid stuff. Again, we are fans of Other M, which is mostly in third person. You do the first-person stuff, but it's a third-person game. And I would like to see a big third-person adventure also. But at the same time, here's the one reason why I wouldn't like that is because I feel like the first-person stuff should be pretty tied only to the Prime series of games. And I mean, again, like I said earlier, I was so shocked that we're even getting Prime 4. I never thought the Switch Metroid was going to be a Prime game. I thought Prime was done and buried forever. We would never see a game called Prime. So they're bringing it back, and I feel like maybe this should be the last time they do a Prime game and the last time they do a first-person game. So I'm a little bit torn on that because I love it more than any other game ever, but also I like the idea of it being special and being tied solely to this small collection of Metroid games. And that was it. They made 4 Prime games. They made a DS Prime Hunters, and that was it. And they just kind of left it. So I would like it because I love it, but I would like them to kind of just move on from it and maybe focus only on third person so that Prime kind of is just concluded. Like Prime 4 comes out, it's concluded. No more Prime story games, no more first-person Metroid games. If you want to play first-person, you play one of these 4 Metroid Prime games, and that's it. So, So yeah, man, kind of tough to come down. Like, what do you think?
Me personally, the reason why I would break it off because there are a lot of people who do like the first-person style of Metroid. Me personally, it's not my cup of tea, but that's because I've mostly burned out. The thing about the reason why I would like to see third person is because one of the things about Other M that people who have actually played the game, not the people who are just hating, but the people who actually
played the game, good point. You make a good point.
Gameplay.
Yes, the game.
We actually got to see what a fight with Samus is like.
Oh, so good.
She will, for lack of a better term, excuse my French, she will fuck you up.
She will.
So, and
you French away, man. You nailed it. That's 100% true.
And they showed it like with the finishing moves that she does not play. So if Team Ninja did one thing right that people can universally agree on, it was that.
Yeah.
Because I just envision a fight with Samus to be a brutal affair. Like it's not a beautifully choreographed. No, she is going to kill you in the fastest way possible.
Yeah, she will Bruce Lee your ass. Like you can't stop her.
So that's why I would like to see that, just so like the fans of that first person genre, they can still have that, but because outside of Smash Brothers, we don't get to see her fighting style basically.
Yeah, you make a good point. I see what you're getting at when you talk about splitting it off. So first-person fans get the Prime stuff, and people who want something different like you get more of that hand-to-hand combat stuff.
Yeah, because once again, and this is because I've read the manga for this. So I've seen what she can do because they devoted a couple of chapters of the manga to just showing you why nobody can touch her in the galaxy when it comes to it. I would just like to see that more on a scale, because we all know that, well, the fans of the series all know that the Space Pirates, they fear her. They are scared to death of her. And
you can tell it if you read the lore in the Prime games. You can tell.
Yeah,
like she is the hunter. She's this mysterious, terrifying force. That they're afraid of.
She's their boogeyman, basically.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
for lack of a better word, because I know there was there was a while back, a few years back, that I got into a discussion with someone, and they were saying that her PTSD keeps her from like fighting. I'm like, I think you got it backwards. Her PTSD turns her into a berserker rage.
Yeah, that's what Other M was about, right?
Yeah, it doesn't like make it where she doesn't want to fight. No, these things killed her entire planet, and her parents left her for dead. She goes berserk. You have to calm her down. Mm-hmm. And I kind of had to try to explain it to him in that way, because I'm like, that's what they've shown. That's why, like, usually when you see like people try to do like they did that live action what was it? The Rain, the Metroid Rain or something like that.
Like a fan made thing?
Yeah, the fan made thing.
Yes.
And they were trying to say that she had severe PTSD and that she didn't want to fight. I'm like, that's not Samus.
No.
I'm like, that's not, y'all have not played these games. Because that's not her. Like, if anything, her PTSD makes her more dangerous and unpredictable, because when she sees them, she flips into this wild. She's basically Wolverine from the X-Men on a berserker rage.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what she is. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they kicked her out the Federation to begin with. Because they couldn't control her on the missions. When she would see space pirates and she'd lose it.
Yeah, and it's a good point too, because kind of going back to your whole basis on this was Other M a little bit, and it really is one of the coolest things about what I think they were trying to do there, because they did show us for the first time, if you don't count Smash Brothers, like you said, like you can't count Smash Brothers, but like in a Metroid game, it was the first time they showed us that with her hands, she could be that deadly.
Yeah.
And it is really exciting to think about them bringing that more into future games. And you would really have to do that in third person. Like, you're totally right. It just wouldn't work in a Prime game. It wouldn't work in a first person game the same way.
It wouldn't look right.
No, it wouldn't.
The way I know, the reason why I know that it wouldn't look right, because I played Destiny 1, and they tried to do that when they shift from the first person to the third person to do your special, your super. And it didn't have the same feeling as it would if you're just in third person. You could see it, the whole animation through.
Yeah, and they also had really good controls in Other M. Like, I mean,
very good. The controls were tight.
They really were. Like, there is a strong case for the lack of analog stick. That's everyone complains about that. And that's one I will agree with. Like, it would have been way better with the analog stick, but for what it was, the controls did work really well. And so you were able to pull off those exact things. Not only did it look great, like you're saying, but it felt great. It was really intuitive and fun to pull that stuff off. And it looked so badass that you were just like, oh yeah, I'm doing Samus. I'm ripping your heads off and pulling your tails and giving you body slams. And it was just so perfect. I mean, it would be cool to see them go to the next level in a future game, like on the Switch.
Yeah, it got so much to the point that I was waiting to get surrounded.
Yeah.
I'm like, please mess up and surround me, please.
Yeah, make that mistake.
Yeah. So I mean, like that's the thing, and so when I think about, like, because I'm psyched for Metroid Prime 4. Don't get me wrong. But there's just some things like story-wise, gameplay-wise, that I would actually like to see that I'm probably not going to get in this one.
I mean, honestly, dude, hearing you talk about the things that you're looking for, I don't want to set you up for disappointment, but I think you might be right, because I don't know that a lot of that stuff is what they're going to put into a Prime 4 game. I just don't think so.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why, like, it's tough being somebody that's deep into the lore of a series.
Yeah,
because when you're deep into it and you know it, you're like, okay, they can go this way, that way, with the story.
Yeah, and it's not likely that they're going to do what you want. Sadly. It's just not likely.
But I enjoy the series anyway, because I love the stories that they do tell.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm all for it. That's one thing about me when it comes to like action adventure games. I'm cool with whatever story they make as long as the story is good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm cool with it, because like Metroid is one of my favorite game series. So, and Nintendo, y'all need to go on the option Shinji Aramaki to make the movie sell shakes out. But
one day, man, one day.
Yeah, dude, Appleseed X Machina. I keep telling people, I'm like, if you watch Appleseed X Machina, that ain't nobody but Samus. So
make it happen.
I would love to see what the studio has planned. I did hear a weird rumor that we may get something at E3, but I'm not certain on that. But
you mean about Prime 4? Or you mean
about Prime 4? I heard a weird rumor.
I mean, it's really tough to say, like, what they're gonna do. I think we probably will get something at E3, but you never know because the game is a mystery. I'm one of a few people who thinks the game is a little bit farther off. I don't think it's going to come out this year.
Yeah, I don't think it is either.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, I'm prepared to be wrong. I always have to say that when I talk about it. Like, I'm prepared to be wrong, but I do think it's a 2019 game. And if that was true, then that kind of lessens the chance that they would show it at this year's E3. Because usually, with the rare exception, Nintendo likes to show stuff when it's going to release the same year. Like last year was an anomaly just even showing Metroid Prime 4 because it wasn't going to be a 2017 game.
Yeah. And so that's what I kept trying to tell people because there was some people trying to tell me it was going to come out this year. I'm like, no, it's not.
No way. I mean, honestly, I was thrilled Samus Returns was ready to go by September. That was the greatest news. The greatest news.
Yeah. So
we got lucky.
Because I think what's going to wind up happening, in all honesty, I think we're probably going to get Bayonetta 3 this year. And,
you think? Okay.
Yeah, I think that we're going to get something big, and I'm thinking it's going to be Bayonetta 3.
I mean, I guess it kind of has to be. Like, there's 3 big games, well, 4 actually that we know of, right? Because there's Metroid Prime 4 and Bayonetta, like you said. Yeah. We know Pokemon's coming, and there's Fire Emblem is still a mystery, too. Yeah. So one of those has to come this year.
Yeah, one of those is coming, and
if not 2 of them.
I'm thinking it's probably going to be Bayonetta, and I don't think it's going to be Pokemon either. I think it's going to be Bayonetta.
And Fire Emblem.
Just because Fire Emblem, people have been waiting on Fire Emblem on a console for God knows how long.
10 years or whatever, whenever the Wii game came out.
Yeah. And I want to say that was 2005, I think.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those situations where you're like, okay, what would be your plan? Mm-hmm. And to me, I'm thinking the reason why they showed the Bayonetta 3 things because that's probably going to hit probably in the fall.
That would be freaking awesome if that game came out this year, man. Yeah. It'd be so exciting.
Yeah, I'm thinking like I'm hoping that's what's going to be the case, and then we get probably like that Shin Megami Tensei game or the Fire Emblem game, which will probably get the Fire Emblem game.
Yeah, definitely Fire Emblem, and I feel like the Dark Horse game I've been predicting for a long time is Animal Crossing. I feel like we're going to get an announcement of Animal Crossing this year, and I think it will be a 2018 game. Yeah, I really feel like that's one of the series that's ready to go. But all these Smash Brothers rumors are starting to show up again, and Metroid and Pokemon do have the possibility of surprising us both and being. One of those might be a 2018 game. Like, that's totally possible.
That's true because Kimishima did say there were a lot of games that they do have on tap from Nintendo themselves this year. Yeah. I'm like, okay, really?
I mean, if they released, we're tangenting away from Metroid here, but if they released so many games in 2017, you would have to think that they only did that because they knew they also had games in 2018, hopefully. Yeah. So maybe Pokemon is ready to go. And Fire Emblem, they did say is 2018, so maybe that's ready to go soon. Yeah. Or Animal Crossing. So.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you, man. I'm totally with you. Hoping. And I feel like we can expect. I would put money on Metroid Prime 4 being at E3 this year, but I'm not ready to put money on it being a 2018 game. I'm still putting money on Metroid Prime 4 being 2019. But personally, I do think that there's something to that rumor. I think we're going to see it at E3 this year. I really do. Yeah.
Well, I hope we do. I hope because I hope we get to see it. I hope we find out who's actually developing it, so I have so I can engage myself. And
yeah, totally. I mean, we should probably expect. I'm totally up for believing the Bandai stuff. I'm absolutely sure that that's probably true. There's so much that points to it being true. I personally do believe it. And, like, I know a lot of people don't think that they're like, oh, that's weird because Bandai doesn't make first-person games and Prime's going to be first-person. But, like, A, Bandai is really talented, and B, they've worked with Nintendo so well. I'm sure that's why Nintendo has asked them to make the game. We assume.
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to make a really good Metroid game. If it's true, I really just want Nintendo to confirm it sooner than later so that we like officially know.
Yeah, like we need to direct on this.
Yeah, we do, man. We do.
We actually need to direct on this.
Like, I do think there are other companies that would be great for Metroid 2. Like, I mean, imagine if it was Platinum. How cool would that be?
See, Platinum, I would want Platinum to do a third-person one, though, because I need Platinum
to
do that. What they do with Bayonetta, I need Platinum to do that with Metroid on the third-person action game.
I mean, that would be Other M to, like, the 10th degree. That would be, like, Other M on drugs, man. Like, that would be so cool.
And everyone would love it.
They would.
Because it's common.
Yeah, they would be so great for a third-person Metroid game. Yeah. So, but that's not Prime. Prime will for sure focus, I think, on first-person, but maybe do some other maybe give us that gunship combat, like you said. Maybe give us the 2D stuff, like I said, or some kind of mix of all the above. And I don't know. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, should be very interesting. A very interesting year, to say the least.
Yeah,
I would say. Yeah. But that wraps it up for this Let's Talk. Thank you, Rob, for joining me for this cast.
Yes, thank you for having me on, dude.
Anything you want to pimp out?
I mean, just my channel. My channel is called Rule of 2 Review. It's a Rule of the number 2 Review. And it's the same on Twitter, where I'm super active. Me and Jay go way back to the Gamers at Large days, like 100 years ago.
Yep.
And and you and I did a Metroid cast like 2 years ago, which was a lot of fun too. That was it was the last time we spoke. So I definitely want to say thank you for having me on and asking me to do a Metroid kind of podcast with you. It was really fun to do it. So thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, no problem. And we will see you guys on the next vid. Peace out.
Later.